The trillions of microorganisms that colonize your body shape your immune system and general health. So whether you're healthy or not largely depends on the composition of your microbiota. If your microbiota is in a good shape, then chances are the rest of your body is healthy as well. Whereas if your microbiota is in a sore state, then chances are you suffer from a variety of different health problems or diseases. A lot of people are unaware of this intimate connection between the microbes that colonize their body and the health and functioning of their organs and bodily systems. And in this video, I thought we'd have a look at 10 ways one can elucidate what the state of one's microbiome is. So, the 10 questions one can ask oneself are: how's my digestion and food tolerance? So, microbiome disruption goes hand in hand with digestive problems and food intolerance. So, typically, people who suffer from, for example, irritable bowel syndrome or inflammatory bowel disease, they also experience a variety of different food intolerances. All of these problems are closely linked with the gut microbiota. So a healthy and resilient gut microbiota usually goes hand in hand with good digestion and good food tolerance, whereas microbiome disruption and a loss of microbiota diversity go hand in hand with digestive problems. How much sleep do I need? That's a very important question that a lot of people may not directly link to the microbiota. But what's important to note is that one's sleep needs is closely correlated with the state of one's immune system. So people who are chronically inflamed, for example, typically require more sleep than people who are healthy. So that's obviously important with respect to the microbiota, because the microbiota has such a major influence on the functioning of the immune system. How's my skin health? Over the past 10 to 20 years, a lot of scientific studies have come out that show that gut dysbiosis and various digestive problems are closely associated with skin problems such as acne. So it's my belief that gut dysbiosis coupled with poor nutrition lie at the root of many cases of acne vulgaris and also contribute to the development of many other skin problems such as eczema and psoriasis, for example. Next question: how's my libido? In modern Western societies, a lot of people experience low libido. So that may seem surprising from an evolutionary point of view, seeing as we're shaped to reproduce. Natural selection favor organisms that get many children and get many children that survive into their reproductive age. So the fact that so many people in modern societies have low libido and suffer a variety of different health problems related to reproductive health should raise a question. Should cause us to think what's going on here. There's no doubt in my mind that one of the primary reasons a lot of people have low libido these days is that a lot of people harbor a dysfunctional, damaged microbiota. So a person with a damaged microbiota is also an inflamed person, and it's well established that inflammation is one of the primary causes of erectile dysfunction, low libido, and a variety of different pregnancy-related problems and other problems related to reproductive health. Do I regularly get cravings for unhealthy foods? So it's well established that the food one eats greatly influences the composition of one's gut microbiota. What's not as well known, at least among the general public, is that the composition of one's gut microbiota greatly affects one's food preferences and appetite. So people who regularly crave sugary foods, for example, or fast food high in refined fats and salt, typically have a very different microbiome composition than people who have different dietary preferences. This is based not just on my observations, but also on studies that link the composition of the gut microbiota with appetite and food preferences. So it's actually my belief that microbiome composition is one of the major factors influencing human appetite and our food cravings. How's my body composition? So it's well known that obese individuals have a different gut microbiota composition than lean individuals. So we see different clusterings with respect to microbiota composition. That said, the fact that a person is lean obviously doesn't necessarily mean that that person harbors a healthy microbiota, and the fact that a person is somewhat overweight doesn't necessarily mean that that person harbors a microbiota that is severely depleted of diversity or severely damaged. But it's important to note that there's a link between body composition and microbiota composition. What's the general nature of my dreams? It's not well known that at least among the general public and people who haven't been keeping up with the research on the microbiome, that the microbiome affects the nature of our dreams. So this is not something that at the present we have conclusive evidence for, but I strongly believe that the nature of one's dreams can tell one a lot about the composition of one's microbiome. So if you have good dreams and you sleep fairly well, then chances are your microbiome is in a pretty good state. However, if you regularly have nightmares or suffer from sleep-related disorders, then chances are your microbiota is in a less than optimal state. So this is something I talked at length about in a article I wrote on Darwin-medicine.com a short while ago. How resistant am I to pathogens and illness? So the body's primary defense against pathogens and illness is obviously the immune system. And since the immune system is greatly affected, the functioning of the immune system is greatly affected by the state of the microbiota. It goes without saying that the microbiota greatly influences one's ability to ward off pathogens and illness. So a person that harbors a fragile, non-resistant microbiota is generally much more susceptible to develop a variety of acute illnesses as well as chronic illnesses and infections than a person who harbors a healthy, flourishing microbiota. The last question is, how are my energy levels? So your energy levels can tell you a lot about your microbiome. If you generally feel vibrant and fairly energetic, then chances are your microbiota is in a pretty good state. However, if you feel chronically tired, fatigued, or something like that, then chances are your microbiome is in a very sore state. So it's my belief that gut dysbiosis and the chronic inflammation that accompanies gut dysbiosis is the primary cause of chronic fatigue syndrome. So there are also more and more studies pointing in this direction.